Hi, Ross and Kathy Callaghan here again, and we're off on another cruise. This time it's on the Ovation of the Seas.
Yes, and this one goes around our homeland, New Zealand. It starts in Sydney, goes around New Zealand and finishes in Sydney.
We've been on Royal Caribbean before, but not this one, which is the biggest one in these waters. Looking forward to this cruise very much.
Should be great.
The Ovation of the Seas takes about 4,200 passengers. It's the biggest ship that cruises in these waters, and we haven't been on a boat as big as this before, so we're looking forward to it very much. She's a big baby, this one. The cruise departs here from Sydney. 2 days at sea, a day in Fjordland in the beautiful fjords. Then we go to Dunedin, Wellington, Napier, Picton. 2 days at sea and back here to Sydney. This is a 10-day cruise and we're leaving Sydney Harbour now on our way out into the Tasman Sea. There we have the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And there's the Opera House in downtown Sydney. We're in an internal cabin this time on the Ovation of the Seas. And what do you think of it?
Actually, this is quite a nice room. Having an internal room is new for us. We're in room number 8313. Give you a tour. Nice comfortable beds as usual, but it's very modern. Little touches like having the self-closing drawers and actually having a jug so you can make yourself a cup of tea. Now that's new. A working fridge, which is great. Comfortable space, plenty of storage, and the bathroom. It's quite nice in there. Have a look.
Shower's big. Plenty of room in it's very well designed, isn't it?
It is. It actually feels bigger than it actually is.
And the special thing about this cabin or stateroom is that it has a virtual balcony. So it's a big TV here that shows you what you would be seeing outside if you were in a balcony cabin. And we find it very good. It's dark, of course, at night and light in the day, and you can see pretty much what you would see out the window in a cabin.
I quite like the virtual balcony because it doesn't make you feel like you're enclosed, which can sometimes, I think, happen in an internal room.
So overall, we're very happy with the internal cabin and virtual balcony on the Ovation of the Seas. Very, very comfortable and modern. The Ovation of the Seas is the 9th biggest cruise ship in the world at the moment. It takes somewhere between 4,200 and 5,000 passengers, and it's always full. And because it's so big, the Ovation can offer a different kind of activities to the cruise ships that we've been on before. So what we thought we'd do is show you some of these specialised activities. The middle of the ship's very much like a shopping centre. So there's bars and pubs and shops of all different types, tending to be of the more expensive type of shops. Lots of bargains here you can get at elevated prices. Plenty of cafes. The coffee shops particularly popular. And the casino, well, it's massive. So this is certainly a modern way of getting a drink made for you. Even stirs it up for you, mixes it. And you pay for it there. Now Kathy's going to be very brave and go on the iFly skydive experience.
Woo!
Well done. Survived.
That was awesome. It's good when you get to my age to do something you've never done before and challenge yourself. That was fun.
Now we're going to go up there on the North Star and see the ship from way up high. This goes 93 meters up above the ship. Bit of a storm over there. And a pretty spectacular view of the ship. Look at that. And here's the view forward to the bow of the ship and where we're going towards New Zealand.
It's good to do something we haven't done before, and this is spectacular.
You have enough time for this ride.
North Star they call it. North Star.
Now getting windy, just in time.
Very good. And they even have bumper cars. Everyone's being very well behaved, not bumping into each other. Whoops. Xbox for the kids, keep them quiet. And for the older kids too. They're making origami helicopters.
Now we're going to throw it over the side.
This is the main pool, obviously very well patronised in the warm weather. There's also a covered indoor pool and a nice water slide for the kids. But we prefer the adults only solarium where you can have a swim or you can go and have a spa. Then afterwards you can sit in the sun and have a read. There's a really big gym and it's got all the latest equipment.
So if you're trying to get your steps up, you don't need to worry about it on this ship because you walk 1,000 steps just to get to your eating places. But if you want to eat that little bit more, come to this wonderful gym.
Certainly makes you feel a lot better.
Walking around the deck is a very popular activity. Look at all the people doing it. And me.
So there's a glass floor down here. You can see, I don't know if you can see, people walking down there. It's a bit of a spooky feeling.
All the way down the bottom.
Oh, and there's a lift.
The lift system is pretty impressive. Inside and out, both sides of the ship. So many lifts. Here comes one. And you always know what day it is because it's on the floor of the lifts. Corridors on this ship are quite something. You have to do about 600 steps to get from our cabin to the centre of the ship. And along the way there's all this artwork. There's the lobby with all of the lifts, and we're halfway. It is well signposted so you don't get lost, but there's a long way to travel. Lots of walking involved, which we don't mind, of course. The more walking, the more we can eat. Still not there. And here
313.
8313, yep.
Oh look, Wellington's still there. We noticed an immediate difference between other ships we've been on for its modern way of approaching things. If you want something, you swipe your card, you can order things, it'll tell you what balance you've got, what you've got booked. It's a great way of finding your way around the ship.
Number 5, how many sides does a banana have? 5. 5. Question 6, what color is the wings of a dragonfly? Blue. Blue wings.
They've even got a music hall.
I just go to say love you. I just go to say how much I care. I just go to say I love you, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
And if you've got nothing else to do, you can always sit and watch the sea go by. Always something to see. Pretty big pot of dolphins out there. There's just so much food available on this ship. There's pubs and restaurants and cafes just everywhere. Over 20 different places that you can go. We tend to go to the ones that are free, but you can go to specialty restaurants and pay a little bit extra to get very fine dining. So here's some of the food that we've had on board. Bacon and eggs for breakfast. Look at that, pretty good.
Nice looking omelette as well.
The main buffet is called the Windjammer. There's plenty of food for everyone. All sorts of freshly baked breads. Lots of lovely salads. Pizzas galore. Even get a pie. Plenty of lovely fruit. Piles and piles of good stuff. Look at that. Even get a simple sandwich. And the desserts are pretty nice too. Nice apple crumble for dessert. Get the size of that. All sorts of different kind of drinks. With so much food on offer, it's very tempting to get too much, but look how circumspect we are. Oh, not too much at all. That means we can eat more next time. In the main restaurant, they have a menu, very nice food, and so tonight I'm having crumbed prawns. Looks very nice. And turkey for mains. Doesn't that look good? And here we got snapper. Nice, eh?
So please, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chef France, coming all the way from beautiful country of Switzerland.
I see no one else but you. There is no other love like our love.
Now welcome to New Zealand. We've made it to Fiordland National Park in the South Island, one of the biggest national parks in the world. And today we're going to be visiting Milford Sound, Doubtful Sound and Dusky Sound. So welcome to Milford Sound. Lovely to come in here in the morning. And when the sun comes up, everything will look so different. Over there's Mitre Peak, and the Mitre is just getting into the sun this morning. We'll see it much nicer a little bit later on. This rises 7,000 feet straight up out of the fjord, tallest mountain in the world that rises straight up out of the sea. It's quite different early in the morning when the sun hasn't come up onto the side of the big mountains there. Another cruise ship in today. Starting to see a little bit more of Mitre Peak now. Just to give you an idea of scale, the bush line's around about 900 metres. Everything above that is just rock. Captain's going to take us right in close by, and pretty amazing really in a ship this size. See the little rainbow there? Pretty spectacular. This is Stirling Falls, and to give you an idea of scale, it's about a 50-story building, the height of the falls there. Thousands of visitors come here every day to Milford Sound. It's one of New Zealand's top tourist attractions. You can come here by cruise ship, but you can also come by road and take a little plane and get some pretty spectacular views of the fjord. All this has been carved out by glaciers, and underneath us is about 400 metres of water, and then the mountains go up about 2 kilometres. Starting to head out now, out of Milford Sound, back into the Tasman Sea, and next stop is Thompson Sound, which leads into Doubtful Sound. Now over here is Secretary Island, the second biggest island in Fiordland, and it's used as a wildlife refuge. They've cleared it of all pests so that they can put species that are at risk on the island, and they can live safely there. So it's a very important part of the conservation process that's going on here in Fiordland. Now we're coming into Doubtful Sound, and this was named by Captain Cook in the 1770s, and he was a little bit doubtful as to whether he could take his ships in there. Lake Tiano is above the level of Doubtful Sound. They built a power station, an underground power station, which you drive about 3/4 of a kilometre down into. An amazing technological feat. We're now moving into Breaksea Sound, which leads to Dusky Sound. Over here is Breaksea Island, which is predator free and also used as a haven for endangered species. It's the biggest island in this area. Certainly is a picturesque place to visit, isn't it? Look at that. Nice view of the sounds from up there. Now we're coming into Dusky Sound, and it was named by Captain Cook. Spent 5 weeks here in 1773. There's very, very high rainfall here, and as the water falls down through the beech forest, it brings tannins with it, so the water is actually slightly brown, but it's very pure. The trees have to have very shallow roots that dig deep into the rocks so they can hold on, and every now and then there's a slip, and it takes about 100 years to regenerate. Mutton birds feeding over there. And this is the entrance to Dusky Sound that we'll be leaving from. Pretty special that Captain Cook came in here in the 1770s. This is Resolution Island, named after Captain Cook's ship, the Resolution. And this is what he saw as he came in here all those years ago. And what's special is that Dusky Sound hasn't changed at all between the 1770s when Captain Cook was here and how it is today. We're very privileged to be visiting it, aren't we?
I just saw one of our fellow passengers talking home, wherever home is, and showing them this beautiful scenery. And he said, "Isn't it incredible? I've been in this all day today," and that's how we feel too. It's just beautiful.
Yes, it really is a privilege to have been here in Fiordland. Certainly is an amazing place. So next stop is Dunedin. We've had a wonderful day here in Fiordland. Now welcome to Port Chalmers, which is the port for the city of Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand. Today we're going to take a tour of Dunedin, and the day is just so beautiful. Dunedin's a city of about 130,000 people, and it's very much dominated by the University of Otago, which has 20,000 students. And all through the northern part of the city there is the famous student accommodation. This is Baldwin Street, which is the steepest street in the world. And every now and then the students get up the top there with a whole lot of jaffas, lollies, and they come throw thousands of them down here and all the kids pick them up. What fun. Just a quick run up the top and back, no problem. And here we have the Dunedin railway station, built in 1910. Dunedin's noted for lovely buildings like this. There's Ovation, a beautiful old house, Larnac Castle, and everywhere you look there are these lovely buildings. Dunedin's sometimes called the Edinburgh of the South. Dunedin, Edinburgh. And that means that there's a very strong Presbyterian Scottish influence in the city. This is First Church. Quite an imposing building, isn't it? And the central meeting place in Dunedin is the Octagon. And today the Octagon's full of lots of people because there's an event on. Sort of the hub of Dunedin, especially on a weekend when a cruise ship's in. They love to have the tourists here. And here we have Robbie Burns. He was supposed to be pointing up the road there, but then they built the Anglican Cathedral there, and of course the Presbyterians didn't want Robbie looking up at the Anglican Cathedral, so they turned him round and now he looks down over the Octagon. Isn't that lovely? Well, we've had a pretty wonderful day in Dunedin. Now we're back in Port Chalmers. 2 cruise ships in today, Viking, Orion, and of course the magnificent Ovation of the Seas. The island in the middle there is called Quarantine Island, where they put anybody that was sick in the early days so that they were in quarantine. And the wee island here in the middle is called Goat Island. I suppose that's where all the goats were. We're now in the Lady Thorne Rhododendron Dell in Port Chalmers, Lions Club project, and it's been created inside a quarry, and the quarry has produced stones for many of the buildings in Dunedin and in Port Chalmers, and even as far afield as Christchurch. And even today there's lots of historic buildings going back to the 1800s, late 1800s. Here's the Presbyterian Church in Port Chalmers. The Port Chalmers Hotel over there is the oldest functioning hotel in the South Island. And there's a fantastic museum that tells the history of Port Chalmers as well. And so we head off down the Otago Harbour after a really, really lovely day here in Dunedin. Now we're going past Taiaroa Heads, and this is very well known for its Royal Albatross colony, it's a breeding colony there. And when the albatrosses raise their chicks, the chicks take off and head out to sea, travelling all around the Pacific, all around the world, and then finally, some years later, come back to breed here. Albatrosses, they soar, they don't flap their wings. We've got the biggest seabirds with a 3-metre wingspan, and they travel around the Pacific for some years before they come back here to breed. And now welcome to Wellington, and Wellington's where we come from. It's a little bit strange to be on a cruise ship and coming home, but it's a wonderful city. And this is what Wellington looks like from the North Star. Te Papa over there, straight over the top of the Westpac Stadium. And here's the city. They reckon that Wellington is the coolest little capital in the world. Capital of New Zealand.
We've lived in and around Wellington for over 30 years and we love this place, and it's great to be able to show people just how beautiful it is.
Wellington's the capital of New Zealand, and these are our Parliament buildings. On the left is the Beehive, which is parliamentary offices, and Parliament itself sits in this old building. The church bells are ringing for the cathedral on a Sunday morning. And here we have Old St Paul's, which was the main church in Wellington before the cathedral was built. And this church was built in 1886. And this is Tinakori Road with its quaint houses set under the green belt in the hills of Wellington. It's a pretty hilly city. And Wellington has really lovely botanic gardens. People come here from all around to see the beautiful gardens. Really great place to meet up with the grandchildren. And this is the Rose Garden. Lots and lots of people come here to enjoy the beautiful roses. And there's a begonia house over there with all sorts of tropical plants in it. And the famous cable car takes you from the Botanic Gardens down to the Wellington city centre. And this is Lambton Quay, one of the main shopping streets. Very quiet on a Sunday. This is Civic Square and its famous ball up there. City to Sea Bridge. And here we have Te Papa, the National Museum. Wonderful museum of New Zealand, and you can certainly spend a day easily in there. They have all sorts of major exhibitions at Te Papa. At the moment it's the Terracotta Warriors. And this is Oriental Parade. Beautiful beaches. You can't beat Wellington on a good day. The waterfront in Wellington is just fantastic. There's people everywhere and so much to see and do, and it just hums with activity. Fantastic place to be. Lots of lovely cafes in the waterfront and throughout Wellington. It's very much a cafe city. So nice to visit Wellington as a tourist. Even though we've lived here for a long time, it's nice to come back and to see all the different tourist sites that are part of this lovely city. So, kia ora Wellington, thank you for having us, even if we've been here for years and years. Well, it's time to say goodbye to Wellington. Had a lovely time here on a really beautiful day. It's a fabulous place to visit. Now welcome to the Hawke's Bay. We're in the city of Napier, the Art Deco capital of New Zealand. See princesses doing the same ports as we are. On February the 2nd, 1931, there was a massive earthquake here in Napier. The whole city got flattened. So they decided to rebuild it with an Art Deco theme. And that's what distinguishes Napier today. And every year in February, they have an Art Deco festival here in Napier. Everybody dresses up in 1930s gear. There's incredible singing and dancing. The vintage cars are out. Everybody's dressed up and it's a real celebration. Over 40,000 people come here to Napier at that time to enjoy the Art Deco festival. Classical Art Deco building over there and over there and all the way down the main street as well. In some parts of Napier, all of the buildings are done in Art Deco. What do you think of Art Deco, you and your friend?
Me and my flapper friend. It's pretty cool.
Napier's not just about Art Deco. It's beautiful beaches. They're stony beaches, fantastic cycleways. There's an aquarium here. It's a lovely Hawke's Bay city. And they've created really beautiful garden areas all through the city. The best place to get a view of the Hawke's Bay is from the top of Timata Peak, way up there. It's not often you get such a clear day to see this view. Way over there in the distance is Napier. Then down here in front of us is Hastings and the main mountains that go right through New Zealand in the distance. And then looking to the south. How special to be here. And this guy's just climbed all that way up Mount Timata Peak. And Hawke's Bay is also known for its wines. That's Craggy Range Winery down there. Make beautiful wines. The weather in the Hawke's Bay is so good that it's known for its fruit and veggies. And so there are these little stalls like this everywhere. We grow and sell our own fruit, they reckon. Napier changes a lot when the tourist ships are in. Lots and lots of people here enjoying the Art Deco. But there is a Starbucks and a McDonald's, of course. There's Art Deco absolutely everywhere in Napier. It's been so lovely to visit this place and to appreciate the history that's gone on since the earthquake. Our final port is Picton, and this is where the Inter-Islander between the North and the South Island docks a number of times every day. So we're going to have a walk around this picturesque little town. And here's the beautiful foreshore of the little town of Picton. There we have the Inter-Islander and the Edwin Fox. Edwin Fox, the 9th oldest ship in the world, the oldest merchant ship that's still surviving, brought immigrants to New Zealand. The hull still remains and they're gradually doing it up. You can take the Marlborough Flyer and have a look at the Marlborough Sounds and its vineyards and beautiful scenery. The easiest way to get around the Marlborough Sounds is by boat, and some pretty nice little boats down there, isn't there? There's the township of Picton and the Inter-Islander out there in the distance. A lot of fishing goes on here too, so these guys have probably been out fishing, catch their lunch.
So Picton is primarily here because of the Inter-Islander, that's the ferry between the North and the South Island. But when a cruise ship comes in, they really put it all on. They put on music, they put on stalls, and they put on a beautiful day.
We always enjoy coming to Picton. It's a really lovely, lovely place, and in the sunshine today, doesn't come much better than this. This is the top of the South Island, and over there in the distance is the North Island, Wellington. Marlborough around Picton is very much wine country, and these are Sauvignon Blanc, and these are the best Sauvignon Blanc grapes in the world. These ones are Pinot Noir, lots of sugar in them, very sweet. And these ones are Chardonnay, so I'll taste one. It's due to be harvested next week.
You'll find it pretty sharp.
Oh, it's not full of sugar, that one.
That's because it's going to bubbles.
So this vineyard grows the Sauvignon Blanc, the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir, and they're all maturing at different times. And here we have the end result, all grown on the property, the best of Marlborough's wines. So we say farewell to Picton and also farewell to New Zealand as we head back to Sydney. We've had a wonderful time in New Zealand, weather's been perfect, and the countryside has been just simply spectacular.
From the moment we stepped on to the Ovation of the Seas, it was immediately different. It was modern and vibrant, and it was incredible how the people were processed and no long big queues anywhere. And when we first embarked on here, we thought it might be more about the ship than the destinations. Destinations were amazing, but the ship was incredible, and we experienced things we've never experienced before, and all the normal things that you have in a cruise ship. So it's a wonderful way of travelling, of having holidays, of spending time together and just enjoying this big beautiful world.
Yes, we've really enjoyed our cruise on the Ovation of the Seas. 10 days around New Zealand, it's been really lovely. We came on this ship because we wanted to see what a great big ship was like, and the Ovation has certainly delivered. We've been able to experience some things that we've never seen before on a cruise ship. But for me, the star of the show has been New Zealand. The ports that we have visited have been absolutely stunning. Meeting up with people, seeing the parts of New Zealand that we've been to before, but seeing them as a tourist has been very special. And the weather has been perfect. So all in all, this has been a pretty wonderful little holiday on the Ovation of the Seas. We enjoy cruising, and this cruise has certainly not disappointed in any way. Well, we made it back to Sydney after 10 wonderful days on the Ovation of the Seas. Thank you, Royal Caribbean. Thank you, Ovation. You've given us lots of wonderful memories. Thank you for looking after us so well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. God bless. Thank you.